What up, though? This is your boy Boots. Welcome to Dash of Life Hawaii. We're here with Kevin from Gig Drive and Thrive. We're having the second part of this conversation that we were having earlier when he told you to come to my channel. Now here you are. We're going to be talking about distracting yourself in this economy, and we as gig workers distract ourselves with a lot of crowd chatter, and it affects us in a way as we work. So far as yourself, you have, in my opinion, you have to take a look at yourself and see what you're willing to do to get this economy to work for you.
Mhm.
Are you willing to switch a zone? Are you willing to work an extra hour, extra maybe 30 minutes? Not even, let's say, an hour, but an extra 30 minutes. Are you willing to listen? So in your opinion, Kevin, what do you run into when someone says, when you show someone that you're actually producing the things you say you're producing?
Mhm.
What are some of the distractions they try to throw at you to get you to not reach your goals?
Well, so one thing that I've told people that the reason I've become successful in what I do, and you do the same thing, is just getting uncomfortable enough to get up early. A lot of people are not willing to get up early to make sure they reach their goals. So for me, when I used to do, even when I was doing Instacart or Shipped, all my stores used to open at 7 o'clock. So that would mean getting up at 5:36 to get ready, making sure I was on the app by 6:45 to make sure I get orders, or even especially now on Amazon Flex. You run into someone, you're talking about, oh, what do you make? What do you make? And what do you do? And I'm just like, I get up early because that's when the money's there to be made. Whether it's on rideshare, airport rides are in the morning. Um, whether it's on Amazon Flex, the good ones are in the morning. And a lot of people are unwilling. If I tell them how much I make or how profitable I am in a short amount of time, by 5 o'clock I've got X amount of dollars. They're like, well, how do you do it? And I'm like, I get up early. They're like, oh, but I love my sleep. I'm like, you love being broke too? You love complaining that you ain't making money? Like, I love listen, Boo, do you like sleeping? If you had a choice, would you rather be sleeping or would you rather be working? Everything was taken care of for you.
That's kind of I'm not gonna say it's a hard question for me because I've been working all my life like the way I work now.
Okay, let me
Pretty,
change the question then. Let me change the
no,
question.
no, 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 no. When I say, okay, everyone loves to sleep, right?
Yeah.
Everybody loves a good night's sleep. So when, with that being said, a good day's rest. But with that being said, when you have goals, when you want to have better things in life,
Mm-hmm.
and you know in the back of your mind what it may take
Mm-hmm.
to get those things, why not? If you have an opportunity,
Yeah.
why not go get it?
Oh, I agree.
Why not put the same efforts you put into having a W-2 into having a job, which is nothing wrong with it, right? Nothing wrong with
Yeah.
having a W-2 job. I got to put the disclaimer in there. Why not put that same effort into yourself to thrive at something you feel is worth thriving
Mm-hmm. For yourself, not for somebody
for
else's
yourself,
dream.
but not for someone else, but for yourself.
Yeah. I think it's people are scared. Like if I wake up early and it doesn't work out, oh, I just lost out on that sleep. But
But what happens when you do wake up early and it does work out?
mm-hmm,
Then what?
exactly. And so many people they look at the possible negative when the the possible positive 99% of the time, if you put that work in, it's gonna be better than that negative. The potential, you know, and if you look at any successful person in the business world or in anyone who's ever been successful in anything, Look at Michael Jordan. What he got? He got cut from what? His high school team?
Yeah.
How many times did Michael fail before he became successful? How many times did I think Elon failed a bunch of times before he became successful? Like successful people, the one common thing with them is they fail more than other people, and they're willing to continue until they find something that works. And I think that's what's key in the gig economy is, you know, you're going to go through, especially if you're in like a seasonal zone or market. There's going to be times, and it's happened to me in Florida because you got snowbirds coming in and out, and I'm sure with you, when you've got tourist season, it's you see an increase or a decrease in orders. But I always had to say, okay, I expect this is going to happen. Like I already know orders are going to go down. How do I maximize what I currently have? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Most, but not all, don't want to maximize because someone will say, well, you didn't really make this because your expenses, right? You didn't
Mm-hmm.
really make that because you had to do this. Now, don't get me wrong, you have everyday life expenses.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you have everyday things that you're gonna do. But only thing basically runs every day is you putting fuel in your car, your
Mm-hmm.
vehicle to move around. And one of the distractions that they try to put out there is
Mm-hmm.
the expenses. What are you really making? Or are you really just being a slave to the app? Or are you um really producing what you're doing without taking screenshots?
Mm-hmm.
So and what like I was saying, in my opinion, you have to cut the outside noise.
Mm-hmm.
You have to minimize your distractions if you're going to be serious about this like type of work.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying just listen to one person because nobody's gospel. Nobody has the
Mm-hmm.
Bible, right?
Mm-hmm.
Nobody knows it all. But you have to be willing to open your mind for change.
Yeah.
Do you find that most people don't want to open their mind for change?
I don't know if it's that. I think there's just a fear element in so many people. And I think fear has such a tight grip on people that it's the fear of the unknown. It's the fear of, what happens, what will other people say? I quit my job to go do this. Like, what will people say if I don't succeed? Instead of thinking that, like, instead of saying, what will people think when I fail? It's imagine how I can prove them wrong because I'm succeeding. How can I show people, friends, family, whatever, that you don't have to be controlled by somebody else? You can. And it's a simple switch, flip the switch. It's a simple flip of the switch of just your thinking. Instead of thinking, what happens if I fail? It's, wow, what could happen and who could I impact if I succeed?
But that's a good way of thinking, right? But
Mm-hmm.
the average person, you can't flip the script. They don't want to just flip the switch because their mind is already trained to take direction. And being in this economy, you really only person you're taking direction from is yourself. So
Mm-hmm.
how can a person find it to be disciplined within themselves without saying I need X, Y, and Z? Because an example, I know I've come out here and some days I've made $100 an hour. I've made $150 an hour. Sometimes I've made $200 off one, 200 plus dollars off one order. So that's just, quote unquote, my situation.
Mm-hmm.
So when a person finds themselves like that and not knowing that it's possible, and they're so used to saying, I need a set amount
Mm-hmm.
per hour, how do you think that affects us? And why don't they want to believe that it can happen?
Well, so I think first of all, whatever whatever you have to have I think you need to have a goal first. People need to have, you need to have something to strive for. If you're just going out there in the gig economy, especially as a new person, if you don't have something you're trying to reach, you're going to reach it regardless. Like if you've got no goal, you're going to be sporadic. But if you have a goal, you know, if your first time going out there, you're like, okay, I want to make $100 in 5 or in, let's say, 6 hours. Be very conservative here. I want to make $100 in 6 hours. Okay, now you have a goal. Then you have to then reverse engineer it and say, okay, how do I achieve that? Where should I be parked? Where should I be taking orders from? Should I be doing shopping orders? Should I be doing DoorDash? Should I be doing Uber Eats? Should I be doing rideshare? I think, first of all, you need to set a goal, and then you have to almost eliminate anything else that's not going to get you towards that goal. So if you're trying to, if you have a goal, if you're thinking negative thoughts, if you're listening to people that are going to bring you down, if you're listening to people who are just telling you can't do it, I can guarantee you will not succeed. So you need to have a goal, and you need to eliminate those distractions that are not going to help you move forward in your goal. I'll tell you what, in the last 5 or 6 years, you know, I've got my family and I've got big goals that we want to accomplish. There are some things we had to cut out because it did not align with what our goal is. And that's kind of when, like, you got to brush the haters off. Like, you got to dust that shirt off. You got to brush that dirt off your shoulders, right?
Exactly.
And that's where the haters are. Or not even haters, not even trolls, not even that. It's just people who don't want to see you succeed, or they're not helping you move toward that goal. Even just being positive. If you've got negative people in your life, if you've got negative things that you're watching, if you can't watch something political and it affects your mind like crazy, you should probably cut that out.
But even with looking into society, right? So society says this gig economy was not going to be able to sustain itself. The gig economy is not lucrative. The gig economy is a hustle, right? So all those things are placed upon society. So with that being said, too, you have societal people who think that this is beneath them, right? And you have someone like myself, which is, I'm not the only one, but you have someone like myself who's actually doing it and thriving at it, being successful at it, and willing to show people that it can be done. How do you get a person to, or what would you say to a person to change their mindset on thinking outside of the saw way? And I say saw because it's the standard American way.
So first of all, think of, like, you know, people who smoke cigarettes. Most people who smoke cigarettes can't quit until they make the decision they want to. People who, you know, same thing with people on drugs. Like, if you want to do something, the first step is actually making that decision. Once they make the decision, then their mind's going to be open. So those people that come up to you and say, man, I saw you on the news, you know, oh, this or that, like, you know, how did you do it? Now, either they're one of 2 people, one of 3 people. They're curious, they think you're lying, or they're actually open to learning. Only one of those people is, like, what we call a green light. Like, they want to know how to get better. Those curious people, you'll get them. You just got to kind of convince them. But here's the thing. Our job is not to convince people they can do this. It starts with that decision. If they want to make this a full-time, and you don't have to be full-time in this, you know, I could never do, you know, I don't make as much as you. I could not work the schedule you do just because of my life situation. But I have a certain set of goals that work for my family and I. And I think that's what it comes down to. You need to have a goal, and you need to make the decision that you're going to achieve that goal, whatever it is. And once those 2 things happen, if people are going to grow, they're going to be more receptive. And that's where they're going to start to pick things from you, from Pedro, from FDA, from me, you know, from whoever. that's where you could start pulling things from different people to say, okay, this is what helped them. This is what helped them. This might help me. Oh, this doesn't help me. You need to be open, and you need to be able to fail if you're going to get to that. But you got to also know that not everybody wants to be helped. They just want things done for them. And if those people are in the gig economy, maybe it's not for you. If you want people to run your apps for you, you might want to just get a job. A real job, we'll call it.
We hear that a lot in this business.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And like to touch on something you said, in my opinion, before we get out of here, I always tell anybody I would not recommend or suggest for anyone to work the way I work,
Mm-hmm.
right? Although if you do not just what I do, if you do half of what I do, you
Mm-hmm.
would succeed.
Mm-hmm.
And when people say it can't happen, I still prove it, just like you still prove it. It can be done.
Mm-hmm.
And some people you're not going to be able to convince. Some people you're not going to be able to show. Some people it's just not going to do it. And they find a way to blame you, I, and Pedro, FDA, Bentley, all everybody that flex that's in this game, Bobby, that's in this game for things that we really can't control. We present to you our life experiences through our eyes, through our vision in this economy,
Mm-hmm.
and the feedback you take, they'll rather gravitate to someone negative
Mm-hmm.
than to the ones that are positive. Someone that's not producing, a keyboard pirate,
Mm-hmm.
to someone who's actually producing.
Yeah.
Because no matter what, they feel like if they're not doing it, you can do it. And I don't understand that logic. I don't understand that mindset. So with this being Mindset Mondays, we're going to try to give you different point of views, different avenues in the gig economy. Some may be gigs, some may not. Guys got to tune in.
Well,
Guys got to don't believe us,
watch us.
or we just watch.
Well, and just before we close out here, I wanted to touch on one thing you just said, and with the keyboard pirates and with all of this, it's what they don't realize, or maybe they realize, they have an ulterior motive. There's gonna, people know the truth when they see it, and when they see negative and they say, oh well, this person, this person, this person, what they don't realize is publicity, good or bad, is good. Whether you're talking crap or you're talking good, those are still eyeballs on the content. That's still engagement on the videos. That's still likes. That's still all that. Like, I welcome it. I don't care if anybody has negative to say. FDA recently just had in his live, he talked about his conversion box. Did you see
Mm-hmm.
that?
Right. I was on that live. I was
Yeah,
on that
yeah,
live.
yeah, yeah. And it was good because like all energy goes into this box and it fuels them. And I loved it. I was like, man, that's such a good analogy. So good. But yeah, that's all I got, man. But I love it, man.
Those are some of the things that Kevin and I normally discuss just on a daily basis. Just basically just conversations with each other. We're going to try to give you the best advice or the best knowledge or the best um ideology
Mm-hmm.
from our point of views in the gig economy or outside of the gig economy. So if you like this content, report to Kevin's page, report to my page, hit the like button, give us a thumbs up. And if you already subscribed, hit that bell so you know when we post a video or when we go live again. I am Boots from Dash of Life Hawaii. This
All
is
right.
Kevin. Go ahead.
And this is Kevin from Geek Drive and Thrive.
And this is Monday's Mindset.